All right, hey everyone, it's Friday afternoon. It's 1:18. The markets are just closing up here. Let's go through what all we're seeing. We're not seeing a whole lot of new news coming through the market other than China stepping up and buying corn 2 days in a row. And I think there's just some uncertainty around what to do with wheat between the ruble and the Russian crop and the dryness here in the Midwest, and just the fact that wheat's had some bearish fundamentals for a while and just can't really seem to break a whole lot. And it seems to like this big trading range that we're in. But we'll get to that here in a second. In front of you is new crop soybeans because it's the weakest chart of the entire complex here. But I don't think it's anything that we want to get overly concerned about. And let me show you. Let's talk about why. We've got this move up and we've got this move back down. So the question is which is primary? Is this the trend or is this the trend down? Is this a continuation of this bigger downtrend? And if you start to read different analysts, you're going to get different answers across the board. So what do we do when the analysts are all confused and on both sides of the coin? Well, we look at what our charts are telling us. And here we have a corrective price channel, and whenever you're between these two lines right here, it looks to us like this is more corrective than it is impulsive. So in order to knock us off of that line of thinking, we need to take these lows out right here, which we bounced off today, and we need to fall out the bottom of this. Now, remember, longer term, we've been bearish because of the size of new crop of the new crops coming in and the size of South America. So I'm a little bulled up, but that's because of technical reasons. Fundamentally, we're still bearish longer term because we think our balance sheets are going to grow unless there's a weather event. So we really can't be too clear about that, okay? We're bearish because we think we think we're going to outgrow this supply problem that we've been in, and we think that this is the year to do it. But we think currently the next most likely move is a little bit higher because we haven't grown the new crop yet, and we may need to put some premium back in it in order to fight for acreage and in order to just ensure that we get to the new crop supply. So as far as new crop beans go, they should be the weakest, and they really aren't yet. Now let's look at the old crops, okay? Here is July. We'll kind of go backwards one crop at a time. Here's July posting a, sorry, that's corn. Here's July beans. Here's July beans. They don't look quite as weak as November. Remember, November was trading right down in here. July beans are holding above our hedge line. They've bounced off this 38.2% retracement. And so I think that this move is counter trend, and I think this bottom today is more likely to hold than not. And if we can crawl back up above this 68 level, then we may get up and out of here depending on what corn really does. So I think that this is a bullish setup, and I think that that is short term. We don't know how long it'll go. Sometimes bull markets happen and the trade doesn't understand why it's happened until it's well underway. Usually it's about halfway done before the traders figure it out. So there's no question that this move is impulsive up off the bottom. There's no question that this move down was impulsive. So you have this V, which is what we would call a wave of equal weight, and now you have this sideways action since. So in all honesty, you just kind of have to pick a horse. And I think what you have to go with is the most recent move is in control. So this sideways action is corrective off of this impulse. And so now we have to wait and see if we can take this high out right here. Yesterday's high is a big deal. And if we get up above that, then I would expect a challenge of these higher levels up in here. So I think we'll be patient. I think we'll stay pretty neutral beans and look to sell higher levels unless we learn some type of fundamental that changes our mind about whether or not we're going to grow these balance sheets. So let's look at corn. Let me start with December. Kind of the same story, right? Longer term, we are bearish corn because the balance sheet is going to grow. We've been clear about that since December. And just this week, we started hearing some bigger names start talking about bigger balance sheets because everything's lining up. And I think it's really interesting that the big names are starting to talk about it as we are approaching a double bottom. We're oversold and bullishly diverging on all of our indicators, Force Index, RSI, MACD. Every one of these is tracing bullish divergences. We have 2 out of 5 big old bullish engulfing days in here. And last but not least, not to throw too many indicators at you all at the same time, but last but not least, we have, that's aggressive sequential. Where is it? Okay, there it is, it's up here. Sequential. So TD sequential is triggering a 13 here today into all these bullish divergences. That's a buy signal all day long in our book. So we've been saying this low is in control. Today confirmed a secondary buy signal off of this, giving a yet another divergent signal here. And look, we also held this downtrend channel, right? And remember what I said about soybeans. When you're in between the lines here, the move is corrective, not impulsive. So we tried to break out of it, but we've traded back inside of it with this 13. This is a go signal for December corn. So I would look for it to get stronger. I don't know what's causing it. I have no idea. I mean, I read a report this morning of a guy that thinks, we're going to trade December corn with a 3 in front of it. So the bearishness is still there, but yet here we are unable to break in the face of very, very bearish fundamentals moving forward. And sometimes that's the start of a big bull move. Now, it hadn't happened yet. A day is not a trend. We've got to take out some highs first, right? There's a lot of work to do. You got to get above this swing high at 65. You got to get above this swing high back here at 76. And you've also got to work your way through this cloud. So there's an awful lot of work to do for corn before anybody can ring the bull card. But this is a nice start and something that we want to make sure that we are on top of. So earlier in the week, we sent out re-ownership strategies for corn. This is as good a spot as you're going to get to put those on. We put future stops in today at this line right here, which is our hedge line at 562. I'm a little apprehensive about doing that below this high right here and below our cloud. But nevertheless, we're going to stick with our hedge line and say above it, we're going to lean bullish, and below it, we're going to lean bearish. So we're taking a little bit of risk here back to the bottom, and I want to be crystal clear about that. We know we're taking counter trend risk here because we view the longer term trend as down, and we think we're going to get cheaper prices. So I cannot beat that drum hard enough. But I think it's a prudent setup because all of the indicators are lined up there, and that does not give you a guaranteed solution, but it's a nice risk-reward setup in our view. So we are putting stops in, and we are looking to for an opportunity to resell this thing higher, unless something were to materialize that makes us think we're tighter than we really are. Now let's look at old crop corns, right? Look at the work we've done here. We've been talking about this. This day is in control. You have higher highs, higher lows, and now we're on a collision course for 646 in July, which is also back up above all of this noise back in here and back above our daily cloud. So a day is not a trend. This whole thing does not qualify as an uptrend yet until we start breaking out these highs and get above our cloud. But this is a really nice start. We've been talking about it for several days, right? This is what you want to see if you're going to start it. If I get into shorter term price action, it gets even more bullish. I'm not going to do that here because once I get started talking about that stuff, this video could turn into hours, and I don't really want to do that to you on Friday afternoon. So, long story short, we're looking higher. I don't know why we're looking higher, but we are. And we'll see if China or somebody continues to find value in corn at these levels, and we need to seek higher ground. So we're going to stick with our system because the system is starting to fire on bullish cylinders. Now let's look at wheat, right? We've been talking about this. We thought this was a nice bullish setup. Yesterday surprised us a little bit, came right down to our hedge line. But what it did is it gave us a little three-way move, and then boom, an explosion back up the top, up 34 cents at the close. So I think you got to look higher on wheat, right? This is a big reversal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full days of trading action fully engulfed here. You got to look higher and at least to 885, and I would certainly look for higher levels off of the strength of that bar here today. What's going to drive that? Well, drive around Kansas. I mean, the wheat is blue and not green, so I think we got problems growing. So we put re-ownership on for guys that we control here. We did that with $9 calls, and we sold 820 puts against short futures. And what that's telling you is we understand the fundamentals are bearish, and we're willing to take a little bit of risk here, but we want to cover our upside and reopen it just in case. So the reality is this move should have stalled and rolled over, and it didn't. It keeps getting bought, so I think we got to look higher. And when you look at beans and corn, I think you got to view it the same way as well. All right, that's 11 minutes. Remember, guys, there is risk in trading futures and options. There is risk trading all these markets. We will do our best to stay apprised of how this stuff works. Again, we have not seen the bullish news yet that we're looking for that would warrant a huge move higher, but the technicals are turning that direction, and it's something that we want to be very aware of and early. So we'll keep you posted, and so at this point we're looking for them to turn south and re-hedge, but at this moment I think we need the upside open, and we'll figure out why, when the market's ready to reveal itself to us. We'll figure that out at that time. Hope you guys have a terrific weekend. We'll be back with you Monday with the video. I think Sunday night's action is going to be really important to see if early weakness gets bought or not, or to see if rains actually materialize. Something like that could be bearish, but we'll take it a day at a time and see how it goes. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.